we have the guts to fade the big dog? That and more today on the Run the Sims podcast. I'm your host, Adam Wilde. We've got a 53-point over under. Tennessee is at home. They are 5.5-point home dogs. Uh, Derrick Henry is the lone survivor for the Tennessee Titans in their backfield. I mean, he was already getting 49 touches a game, but Darrington Evans is injured. Blazing Game is injured and McNichols is injured. So McNichols did not practice on Saturday, limited for Blazing Game, but he's more like the fullback anyways. And then Darrington Evans is, of course, returning from injured reserve relatively soon. In terms of other injuries, nothing super notable. Chester Rogers is he was limited, so we're not sure if he's going to miss the game. Nobody else we care about on the Tennessee Titans side of the ball, and then Marquez Stevenson, not somebody we're worried about on the Buffalo side of the ball either. So let's go over to our optimal results. So Derrick Henry, first and foremost, get it out of the way. 62% of the total lineups, 19% at captain. That's big for a running back on DraftKings. Najee Harris is similar to that, but it's not common. And Derrick Henry also has been catching passes this year. I guess it's just second nature to point out that Derrick Henry on DraftKings isn't catching passes, but well, of course he is this year. So it's not as difficult to get him in the captain spot and feel good about it on DraftKings. It's just that his ownership is going to be through the roof. So is it a position where you can fade Derrick Henry? I'm not positive yet. We'll see how ownership shakes out, but I might just have to lose all my money fading Derrick Henry tomorrow. Josh Allen is 23% in the captain spot as opposed to Ryan Tannehill 8.8. So right there, I'm playing Ryan Tannehill captain. That's just how my brain works. We'll see how often it pays off. Josh Allen, of course, can run in 2 touchdowns himself, and will probably exploit some lineups in which a scenario like that presents itself. Down here, we have Stefon Diggs, who's been relatively quiet. His ownership might be a little bit lower than it should be in this one. The Tennessee Titans defense is miserable, absolutely horrendous. Maybe the worst secondary in the league, probably is the worst secondary in the league. So it's going to be a big spot for Stefon Diggs. You're going to see a lot of Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs stacks. So you might be able to exploit that by either playing Josh Allen naked in the captain spot and hoping for 2 rushing touchdowns, or you could play a big Tennessee 5-by-1 with only Stefon Diggs as the run back and hope that all Josh Allen's production goes through Stefon Diggs. So you're going to have to get unique. Just a regular old run-of-the-mill Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, Derrick Henry lineup isn't going to do much for you in any sort of large field tournament. A.J. Brown is going to be available. He's appearing in 10% of the captain spots, 41% of the total lineups. Cole Beasley is appearing in 33% of the total lineups. That was a little bit of a surprise for me. Zach Moss down here at 29.2%. Emmanuel Sanders, 26.4% total lineups. Devin Singletary, 25.6 total lineups. So to reiterate, we're looking at captains Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, Stefon Diggs, A.J. Brown. Those are all 10 plus percent. Well, Ryan Tannehill's 8.8%, but essentially 10 percenters and more. Cole Beasley's the next highest down here, almost 5% captain. So it's a pretty tight captain pool, and it's going to be a pretty chalky captain pool, which means we're going to have to get unique inside of our lineups. So let's go over here and look at a few custom lineups, look at our projections, and then run some builds on DraftKings. First lineup, of course, it's only a frequency of 10. That's actually pretty good. That means that a lot of lineups are close in terms of how optimal they are. So you're going to have a lot of lineups to choose from. But of course, it's a Josh Allen captain with Cole Beasley, Emmanuel Sanders, Tyler Bass, Jeremy McNichols, and Stefon Diggs. So if you're going to run a Bills onslaught, run a Bills onslaught, 5-by-1 Bills, and run it back with a low owned. Actually, this is good leverage over Derrick Henry as well. If Jeremy McNichols vultures him, even a few receptions or even a touchdown would be phenomenal with this lineup. So if you're going to fade Derrick Henry, play Jeremy McNichols. And then the next lineup's my favorite thing. If you're not going to fade the high-owned running back, play both running backs on one team. I do it all the time. I love the leverage that you get from playing 2 running backs from the same team. A lot of people mentally check that box off when they go to build their lineups. They say I'm not playing 2 running backs from the same team because, on the main slate, you don't do that. You're right. It's a bad idea. But on Showdown, 5 points from the backup running back could be everything. So Ryan Tannehill is at captain. Remember, he was only 8.8% of total captain appearances. So it's much less than Josh Allen, but it's going to be much less than Josh Allen as well. So it's Ryan Tannehill, Jeremy McNichols, Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, Josh Allen, Isaiah McKenzie. I would actually rather get a Titans punt in over Isaiah McKenzie. I do get this lineup, but I kind of want to try to run back Josh Allen naked and see how that works out, and just hope that Josh Allen gets 1 or 2 on the ground and not a ton of passing production. And then we'd be remiss to not hit on a Derrick Henry captain. I'm actually going to do the one with Devin Singletary in it because I love playing Devin Singletary, and it's another one of those 2 running back lineups. Derrick Henry at captain. Actually, it's got all 4 running backs. That's incredible. This is a lineup I almost won on the other day, actually. So Derrick Henry at captain, Devin Singletary, Jeremy McNichols, Cole Beasley, Zach Moss, Josh Allen. So you've got both Bills running backs, both Titans running backs. And honestly, this game could turn into one of those ground and pound type games. I know that the over under is pretty high, but I lean on the other underside for this game. We'll hit on one more with AJ Brown at captain, with Josh Allen, Ryan Tannehill, Emmanuel Sanders, Jeremy McNichols, and Anthony Fursker. Let's go over here to projections. Josh Allen, 25.4 points projected. That's median projections. That's going to be 4 points more than Derrick Henry at 21.5, who has 4 points more than Ryan Tannehill at 17.8. So you can see where the chalk's going to be, and you're going to have to decide if you can fade it or not. It's probably not a game where you're going to be able to fade Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. Last night when we discussed the Steelers, we talked about Najee Harris is just going to probably turn the game into a 5-game slate instead of a 5-player slate instead of a 6-player slate. Sometimes that's okay. Unfortunately, you're going to have that situation with Derrick Henry and Josh Allen, and they're the 2 highest priced players on the slate. So you're probably going to have to fade one or the other in the lineups, and unfortunately, they correlate with each other. I mean, if Derrick Henry has a big game, Josh Allen's probably trying to play keep up. If Josh Allen has a big game, Derrick Henry might have 40 touches because they still run the ball in negative game script. So it's going to be tough to fade both of them. I mean, does it turn into just a 4-person slate? No. Fortune favors the bold in Showdown. So you're probably going to have to fade one of them and build around it. Ryan Tannehill, of course, down here at 17.8. Stefon Diggs, 16.7. AJ Brown with only 14.4. Emmanuel Sanders, 11.7. Zach Moss, 11.1. Cole Beasley, 10.5. And then we've got a bunch of 9s below that. So Julio Jones is only appearing to have 9 points projected. He's making his return from injury. He is only $6,600, so that is an interesting target. And I'm excited to see his ownership because I would really like to do some Ryan Tannehill, AJ Brown, Julio stacks with no Derrick Henry, or even with, well, you're probably not going to afford Derrick Henry in those lineups. We'll check in just a second. So let's over to Draftkings. Let me get the slate going. So it's going to be Buffalo, Tennessee, and we're going to start with Ryan Tannehill at captain. Ryan Tannehill at captain, AJ Brown, Julio Jones. It's going to leave us 6,900 remaining per player. Let's try Singletary. What about Zach Moss? Beautiful. And then Emmanuel Sanders at 8,600 is probably a really, really strong target, especially if we're um, not going to play Josh Allen. So we're hoping for deep shots to Emmanuel Sanders. And like I said, the Tennessee secondary is absolutely miserable. So you're looking at Ryan Tannehill at captain, AJ Brown, Julio Jones, Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, Emmanuel Sanders. This is a 3x3. I usually try to avoid 3x3s, but I think in this case you're relatively unique with Tannehill at captain. You're double stacking Tannehill with AJ Brown and Julio Jones. Julio Jones' ownership should come in a little bit lower. Maybe even AJ Brown's ownership comes in just a little low because he's been banged up as well. And then you're unique by stacking Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Emmanuel Sanders, I could take it or leave it. He just fit this build. But you could also go Dawson Knox there. You can go many different directions there. You can upgrade. So let's try to upgrade Devin Singletary. So let's see if we could go to something like Um, Dawson Knox at 76, and then we've got 63 left, maybe Cole Beasley. So like Dawson Knox and Cole Beasley. You're probably not going to play two pass catchers from Buffalo. And then, of course, everybody's going to want to see. Let's try to get unique with a Derrick Henry build. So let's see if we can play Derrick Henry and Josh Allen and make it make sense. Derrick Henry at captain. We've got Josh Allen. And see if we can do a Buffalo 5x1. So we're going to save money with Devin Singletary. And then we're going to have to go down to. You're probably not going to want to go all the way down to a punt play from Buffalo. There's not, I mean, Isaiah McKenzie might be fine. So for the sake of this, Isaiah McKenzie is my favorite punt at 200, and that's probably what you're going to need for this lineup. And then you're going to have Cole Beasley, who's a solid play, and then you're going to have 9,900. So Stefon Diggs right there. So we've got Derrick Henry, Josh Allen, Devin Singletary, Isaiah McKenzie, Cole Beasley, Stefon Diggs. So that's running a 5x1, and 5x1s with the one as the captain is very unique. I don't see it very often, at least maybe you do, but in many cases you don't see the one in a 5x1 is usually a one-off from the other team, especially punts. People love to run 5x1 onslaughts with a punt from the other team. So putting your punt on the Buffalo side of the ball, keeping all the Buffalo players in the flex spot, and then putting Derrick Henry at captain is going to be unique. So that's one way to get unique with Derrick Henry and Josh Allen in your lineup. Because like I said, they're both pretty much locks. You just how do you get unique with those two locks? And let me see if I can flip this around. Yeah, so I could put Josh Allen at captain and run the same lineup. No, I couldn't. So Derrick Henry's too expensive, so you can't even run Josh Allen and have Derrick Henry as your one off. You're going to be stuck. I mean, you're not going to run Ryan Tannehill back either. So that's how you're going to have to get unique if you want to play Josh Allen and Derrick Henry. Isaiah McKenzie is a fine punt. You'll see that over on RunTheSims.com. So that's going to be it from us today. I appreciate you coming out. I'm getting more and more feedback in the comments. Please comment. Oh, what do you like? What do you dislike? Do you want to see more Fanduel? Do you want to see more Yahoo? Do you want me to spend more time on the projections because you're listening in the car? So you like to hear the projections because you can't actually see my screen. Things like that. The show is what you guys want it to be. So let me know in the comments what you think, like, rate, review, and of course, go over to runthesims.com and subscribe. Peace.